Yeah, Ghoulies, here we are once again on Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theater, brand new episode. Apologize for those reruns, but the doctor's life is a little hectic these days.
The doctor's back.
The doctor's back, and back with me, of course, Mark Gumbinger from Mortuary Girls fame, from countless documentaries on haunted lighthouses and shipwrecks, as well as doing a full-length feature, Mortuary Girls, Time Men, and a surprise feature tonight, an unprecedented event where we cross over all the media of Kenosha, basically, is represented here tonight with your film Dead Air, about basically someone losing their mind in a radio program, and like that would ever really happen in real life.
Well, possibly at WIP it could happen.
WIP, well, that's another story there, isn't it? But really a solid, good 45-minute film here.
Yeah, it was kind of a made-for-TV movie, kind of like, made with commercials, like an hour-long, like Twilight Zone kind of thing. And originally it was going to be like a half an hour, and then we bumped it up for again with commercial, it'd be an hour long if it was a TV show.
It's pretty awesome. I'm really excited to have it on the Crimson Theater tonight.
Yeah, is this the premiere for that?
This is the world television premiere of Dead Air.
Wow, and it's the we made that, I think it was 10 years ago. Like now, I think we had the premiere. The legendary premiere out of the Brat Stuff. We had like 600 people.
Right, you always managed to pack them in on one of your premieres out there.
Yeah, we were fortunate. We had, I think, about 600 people. I think that was like April of 10.
Okay.
So it's a 10-year anniversary.
And then your last feature was the Kino outdoor documentary.
Yeah, that's going on 5 years.
So what's coming up next?
I don't know. He was, I think your producer there, Oscar, was mentioning maybe we should have a talk show guy that's going to get canceled, and he loses his mind and he starts taking everybody out that canceled the show.
Oh, that's a good idea. But, since this movie does feature some local personalities.
Yes, it does.
I just got a whole slate of pictures here that possibly could be of interest. Great titles featuring local talents. Okay, how about this one? Scott Barter in Attack of the Giant Leech. Come on, that would be very popular, wouldn't it?
No comment.
Okay, how about Michael Selvich? No, not Michael Selvich. Jim Selvich and Ralph Nudie in the Midget Rustlers versus the Kenosha Fishman.
Well, I think I called him Oscar. It's Ralph. I'm thinking Oscar. Oscar used to be the original assistant here back in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Ralph.
So that would be Jim Selvich, Ralph Nudie in the Midget Rustlers versus the Kenosha Fishman.
They're called little people.
Yeah, well, it'll be one bonanza of a film, for sure.
Maybe it could be the little people against
I'm just
Ralph.
getting warmed up here.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Ray Forgiani stars in The Phantom of Harbor Park.
That's good. That's good. I like that one.
Okay. Lenny Palmer in Lou Grant Unchained.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
No, good stuff. Okay. Okay. Well, Dan and Pete. Dan and Pete in The Odd Couple on Ice.
The odd Couple Follies, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
And, of course, what's his name? Frank Carmichael in Kermit the Frog, the movie.
Oh, jeez.
Or we could retitle that Kermit the Frog and the Blue Diamonds.
The Blue Diamonds. Okay.
All right.
There you have it. I think you insulted everybody locally.
Believe me.
Almost. Well, yeah.
I kept the gloves on.
If that's keeping the gloves on, we're in trouble, folks.
Terrible conditions here.
I don't know. Your ghoulies are they're taking over. I don't know. Yeah. But hey, what's going on now? You got you've sort of been taking over the whole media market. It's TV, it's radio, it's rock and roll. I just saw you at Port of Kenosha. You're rocking it with your latest
Roosevelt
band,
Dolls.
Roosevelt Dolls, and you got your big annual.
The annual Dorian Gray Art Show, and that's a good thing that you brought that up because we had to move the date because of a conflict with Shrimp Fest out in Brat Stop.
Shrimp Fest.
Yeah. So anyway, so now it's April 25th at 58 Below, And we're bringing in master illusionist Ron Fitzgerald from Chicago.
Very cool.
Amsdell, the band, will be here. Of course, my band, Roosevelt Dolls, and there might be some other surprises. Paranormal investigators, tarot card readers, horror hosts.
Nice. And and the weather should hopefully break a little bit. We should maybe
By April 25th.
We should be above freezing by then, hopefully. Yeah, so it'd be good.
And then as I did that, I was thinking, well, I hope nobody else double books. And suddenly I realized I was double booked because we're going to have the Johnny Thunders tribute show on the 25th at the Port. That will now be included with the Dorian Gray Art Show. And that also means that Sedated, the Ramones tribute band, will also be playing Dorian Gray Art Show.
I like Sedated. They're good. They're from what?
Oshkosh by Dosh. Yes.
Yeah, and I've seen them before. They're good. And then, so you're gonna. There's a lot of. And that is there a charge? Or is that free admission to go to that show?
The Dorian Gray might have to have either a suggested donation or a charge because it's going to cost a little money to run this show.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a lot.
I want to pay a cover for nothing.
It's a lot of bang for the buck, though, because that's a lot going on.
There's going to be a lot more, I think, coming up, going on for sure with that too. So
very cool, very cool.
We're working on some horror hosts, but it's hard for them to actually get organized enough to come anywhere and do anything. But
well, that would be. It sounds like a lot of bang for the buck. I mean, even as I say, a modest, even like if you had a $5 donation cover, that would be a huge value.
Yeah, right. Oh, for sure. Yeah, right. Indeed. But it should be a good show based on the 1945 production of A Picture of Dorian Gray with Herd Hatfield, Angela Lansbury, and of course features that wonderful painting Albright did of the after picture.
Classic.
So there's just so much religious imagery and other things in that movie to use as inspiration. Really, we have to have a viewing party prior to the art show for the artist to come out.
Very cool.
Check that out.
Very cool.
It'll be a really, really cool thing.
When's Roosevelt Dolls play? You're going to play at the Port again? You got any other?
We'll have something coming up. We're getting ready to go in the studio.
Oh, okay.
So
another CD.
Brand new. The beginnings of one. Yeah.
Cool.
A little bit at a time. You don't want to rush it.
A lot going on. I can't believe it's been 10 years that we did Dead Air, and we had all the local talent. We had local afternoon talent hosted. Starred in the program, and we had Ramon Flores, who was also in Time Men and Dead Air. You also have a
few moments
of extended cameo, I would say. The great comedian Dobie Maxwell.
Yes, Dobie's in it. Dobie plays. He plays John Perry really well, doesn't he?
He's he's playing the program manager.
Or Alex Baldwin, maybe.
Yeah, kind of a combination of Alec Baldwin and Perry combined, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I mean, it's just reflective. Art reflects life.
And let's see. So yeah, it's pretty much a talk show host. He kind of loses his mind. It gets kind of dark, and he starts losing it. And it was a lot of fun. It was. I came up with the idea. Then we did the Brian Barnes did the screenplay. I co-wrote it with him, and I can't believe it's been a decade as time goes on. So this is I couldn't remember if we ever had a premiere. So this is the
world television premiere.
Very cool.
Of Dead Air. You got it in a nutshell. Right there.
Very cool.
So the next film is about a TV host that loses his mind and kills his.
Well, he finds out his show's been canceled, and then he wants to go after. We were just talking to Ralph, and I were just discussing Genesis, and I re-explained to Ralph, your producer, and I said, well, coming up with making a movie, it's for all you ghoulies out there, it's 98% perspiration, but it's 2% idea. So I really should say it's 2% idea,
it's a lot
98% perspiration.
See,
a lot of tenacity.
I always wanted to get Ari Lehman, the first Jason from the first Friday the 13th, who actually played just a child. Jason was a child in that movie. And at the end of the movie, he's got one of the scariest scenes, but he's available. And I said, the best Friday the 13th movie I could think of is you go back to playing the original Jason, and it takes up where you come out at your age now, you're released from a mental facility and realize this whole Friday the 13th franchise has been built around your misfortune. Okay, so then you get everybody that played in a Friday the 13th movie ever.
Take them out.
That's still alive, and he slowly kills them all, including Kane Hodder.
Maybe we could call it Saturday the 14th.
There you go.
Then there wouldn't be any copyright things to worry about. We'll just have our own.
There you go.
But it's It's so much fun to do it, but nobody realizes the amount of work. I mean, Dead Air was we had two different leading girls because one fell in love and we had to replace her. And then we had this other girl come up from Chicago and she was busy. And then
But you nailed it.
oh, thanks. Yeah, I like it. It's a fun little show. And then I know when we did Dead Air was really my first, I should say, Mortuary Girls was my first real feature film. I did the documentaries, and we did an hour-long movie back in the '80s called Give Blood, and we did a half an hour short alone back in '91. And then, Mortuary Girls, that took about a year from start
And
to
you even
finish.
worked with the Incredible Hulk, Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo was in my very first movie called, it was a 3-minute short shot on Super 8 film, and he put the stake through Dracula's heart.
Oh,
he was
okay. So he was
just
like a Van Helsing.
He was just a kid. I think he was like 10 years old.
Okay. But
And,
the early days of acting.
His first probably film that he ever.
You got to market that. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's in the Gumby archives somewhere. I'll have to
Okay.
maybe pull it out and see and blow the dust off and bring it into the castle sometime.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very cool.
We could view it maybe.
Well, I guess we should get right into the film, maybe.
Yeah,
It's about
so Dead Air, it's 10-year anniversary, and it's
time. World television premiere.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy.
All right, without further ado, Mark Gumbinger's Dead Air.
What are those? They will help you. Sutter and
No.
Even Murray. It's 30. Plus, the official title is 29. Point pick. 5, 6. Things that you had to do.
Excuse me, Mr. O'Keefe? Oh my gosh. I am such a huge fan of your show. I've been following you since I was in high school.
Well, it's a sweet thing for you to say. It warms my heart to know that the independent young women today are so motivated by my performance that they would actually be wandering the halls of this radio station in hopes of a chance meeting with me. I think it kind of flies in the face of the starstruck bimbos out there, wouldn't you agree?
I don't understand, Mr. O'Keefe.
That's right, you don't, sweetheart. Would you like me to sign this for you, and to whom shall I make it out?
Happy birthday, dear Richard. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Daddy. I love you. I miss you. Come home soon, please. Richard, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Daddy. I love.
those same left-wing commies want to put their ideology into the very books our kids read in school. Indoctrination. That's what this is really all about. They have to teach them this stuff when they're young, because no rational adult would ever believe this bunk.
First thing you know, you'll have school children reporting to their bleeding heart teachers exactly how many guns Daddy owns and specifically where he keeps them. All right, then. This is Richard O'Keefe, and you're on the air with us on The Richard O'Keefe Show. Time for a quick intermission. 15 seconds for station identification. Back after this.
Great, you lit the boards up on that one. Next up, we have a young woman. She's got 3 kids. She's going to be on line 2 when we come back. You ready?
Could you kind of pull the dead rat out of the coffee maker between takes? I swear, this is god-awful stuff.
Okay.
And now back to the Richard O'Keefe Show.
And this is the voice of the last sane man on the airwaves. I am Richard O'Keefe, and this is the Richard O'Keefe Show. Next we have caller number 2, a young mother trying to make it on her own. Hello, and welcome to the Richard O'Keefe Show.
Hi, Richard. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I guess I'm just a little nervous.
And just take a deep breath and talk real slow. Remember, we're all here for you.
Well, I just wanted to say that I lost my job, and I have 3 babies at home. There's no affordable child care that I have access to, and in this economy, I just don't know when things are going to get better.
I see, dear. And how old are you?
23.
You're 23. Oh, why don't you take your kids and go around to the local high schools and explain to all of those free love cheerleaders, you know, the ones who have different boyfriends every other week, what happens when you don't take responsibility for your actions? Instead, they expect some touchy-feely emotions to make the world a wonderful place, full with rainbows and unicorns, and in the meantime, 9 months later, you've got another mouth to feed and another butt to wipe, and guess what? Who do they expect to be there to act as their co-parents? The American taxpayers. Caller number 4, welcome to the Richard O'Keefe Show.
Long-time listener, Richard.
Great. And what's on your mind?
You, Richard. Why are you so angry, Richard?
Why am I so angry? I'll tell you why I'm so angry. Everything that this great country was founded on has been destroyed, co-opted, or watered down by the so-called progressive movement. We have skyrocketing unemployment and the growing deficit, a deficit which our children are going to inherit, plus their children and their children's children. And the only thing anyone seems interested in worrying about is which movie star couple is adopting which foreign kid whose father was probably part of some terrorist cell. Caller number 3, what do you have to say for yourself?
I couldn't agree with you more, Richard. It's the Jews and the Negroes that started all this.
All righty then. It's time for a quick break. Let's take this time to promote the free market. I'm Richard O'Keefe, the Richard O'Keefe Show. And what kind of a train wreck was that?
I gave you the calls with the most potential.
The most potential. You're not supposed to let every single caller through, Amy. That's why they call it screening the calls, honey.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, because I didn't know that, so thanks.
What the hell, Richard? Are you trying to get all your advertisers to pull their sponsorship?
Lighten up, will you, Kurt? You know damn well these racist white trash callers that come in all the time. Besides, they're my advertisers' target demographic.
Well, I want your listeners to be able to call in the show. Texting doesn't work over the radio, Richard.
Oh, come on, Kurt. It was a computer glitch. It's not like it's ever going to happen again.
Well, I want you to check your computers and your equipment because this is a world-class radio station, and I expect it to sound like one.
Third world, maybe?
And I want you to pull your show a half hour early starting next week because Jeremy will be doing the spot.
Wait a minute, what are you telling me? You're saying that you're going to give my time slot And my revenue's strained to that lowball stinking hippie?
The move has already been made, and for your information, Jeremy was born way after the last hippie got a haircut and a job, Richard.
Fresh air. That's what the show is all about. It's a fresh point of view on the issues and the hope that springs eternal in the open hearts and reasonable minds. Hello and welcome to the freshest show in the state.
Hi, Jeremy. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
What's on your mind, Ashley?
Well, I wanted to talk about those horrible deer hunters I see every fall. I mean, it's like bad enough they have to kill those poor animals, but then they drive around town with the dead things tied to the front of their trucks.
I know what you mean, Ashley. It's like they want us to see the life they've taken and be impressed. Does that make them feel like real men? I don't know. Next caller.
Yeah, hello, Jeremy? I called to call about the greenhouse effect, but I thought you might like to know that it's a law that you have to transport the deer outside of the vehicle. It's to prevent poaching.
Well, thanks for the explanation, Bill. But somehow, despite the fact it's institutionalized, it still seems a little malevolent. Like a little exhibitionistic.
Tonight at the Aviary, Death Kitten, Dead Leathers, and Vomit.
Amy, I just got off the phone with Chet Silverman in New York.
Right.
At WMCG.
I know where he's from.
Where there is a syndication spot opening up. And I need a copy of my last 2 programs.
Wow. Richard, that's great. You know what? I have a great idea. How about I take a moment and take a compilation of stuff from right before the election? You're really focused then. It'll be great.
What is that supposed to mean?
It doesn't mean anything.
I thought those last 2 programs were hard-hitting.
They were.
Even poignant.
They were.
I'm not submitting any dated junk from the last elections. I need those 2 programs.
Richard, please, why don't you give me a second? I'll put them together. You can hear them. They're great.
Why don't you like those shows,
Richard,
Amy?
it's not that I don't like
You
the
think
shows.
I can't handle it?
That's not what I said.
These commies on the air, these wackos that call me up, these crazies, these pinkos, trying to get me off the air.
What?
When Silverman hears these tapes, I'm on my way back to New York City. And we are out of this hick town forever. Now prepare those tapes for me, please.
Okay, you're the boss.
Margot.
Yes, dear.
I want you to hear my show from last Thursday. Do you remember that guy I had on?
Oh, Leon! Oh, Bill, get it!
What the hell is this crap? Can you imagine anybody paying to hear this stuff? Where do I know this from?
Richard, don't you remember?
No.
This is the first song that we ever danced to.
Oh, yeah. That night at the awards banquet. That piano player in the corner nobody was listening to before the band showed up. Yeah, I remember. I remember.
Lindsay! Are you ready? You'll miss your bus. And I'm not driving you again.
You can drive me to school. It's no big deal.
No. I've driven you twice this week, and I'm not going to drive you again.
Did I hear somebody say she needed a ride?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, I don't think so.
God, come on, Dad!
No, see, I'm kind of tired of driving, and I think that maybe right about now your mother might be willing to fix me a little breakfast.
Thanks, Dad! Richard. She only has her temps.
Don't worry about it. You know I've been driving my dad's car since I was 14, all over the country. No problems.
This isn't Indiana, Richard.
Hello, Richard. I called to ask about a point you made during your last show about freedom of speech.
Well, normally I don't revisit old shows, but go ahead.
I think that freedom of speech is a good form of checks and balances, and the press is our fourth branch of government. Without this, government becomes the tyranny of the executive branch.
Yeah, sure. The Founding Fathers gave us that freedom, but with that freedom and that privilege comes great responsibility. The enemies of this great country can be given vital information from those using their freedom of speech too irresponsibly. Now, when American lives are hanging in the balance, as they are now, their freedom of speech can still be killing as certainly as bullets can. Caller number 4, do you have anything new to add to this?
Hello again, Richard. I was wondering, do you really think you're cut out for New York talk radio?
Caller number 1, this is the Richard O'Keefe Show.
Hey there, Richard. Yeah, I love your show. I just wanted to say that you're doing a bang-up job. Listen, I heard the other day on the internet that the government has all these serial numbers of registered guns. So I scratched off the numbers off my guns.
Yeah, well, that seems reasonable. I'm also against tracking of weapons that we already own. Let's take this break and go to our sponsor message.
Hey, Amy, listen, the ratings came in and it wasn't good. Dropping like an anchor. We are down to 23% of a female audience, and we can't have that. So I'm thinking we've got a lot of testosterone on the station, a lot of male DJs. How about if we switch it up a little bit, put a female on the air? I think you'd be a great addition to the talk show staff here at the station.
Oh, wow, Kurt. I mean, that's great. I actually like my job as a producer, though. I think I'm a better producer. And, you know, Richard's a great host.
Well, it's nothing against you, but we wanted a bang, we wanted an attraction, and we're not getting it with him. You know, he's going on the air, and to me, listening to him, he just sounds like an old guy at the VFW rambling on about his glory days.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think we're about to turn a corner, though, with him.
Hey, Ted. Nice threads. New suit, huh? So, where's everybody? What's this all about? Just you and me, one-on-one, or what?
That's exactly what it is, Rich. I wanted an opportunity to speak to you in private.
Yeah, well, I got about 10 minutes for my next promo, but I always got time for my old buddy Ted.
Rich, you must realize that everyone here at the station and everyone on the board of directors felt awful about you losing your daughter. And we understand that this sort of thing is tough to bounce back from. But it's been almost a year, and quite honestly, your numbers are almost invisible at this point.
You say bounce back, like it's actually easy to do just that, bounce.
Don't make it sound like that. You've known for quite some time that, well, you're not hot right now, and your sponsors recognize this, and so does the board.
Oh, come on off it, will you, Ted? This is a cyclical thing. It's up and down. You know that better than anybody on radio.
And we've given plenty of time for the cycle to run its course. I'm afraid there's nothing left to do at this point. Listen, Rich, with your clout and your talent, you can have your pick of any spot outside the Beltway.
Hey, thanks for covering my back, Ted.
I've protected you as long as I can, Rich. It's my job to protect the interest of this corporation.
Corporation, you're talking about the company, the one that I helped bring all this revenue stream into, and all this money, and the kind of money that buys threads like this and those fancy cars of yours and your exorbitant... And all these people who work here. That's the company, the one I helped build, Ted.
And I appreciate that. But your agreement clearly states that if your ratings drop at any point, the corporation has the right to go in and make things right.
Agreement? You mean contract? You mean that contract that I was going to bring up anyway? See, I think I'll renegotiate my contract right now with you. I want more money. Yeah, that's what I want. I want a raise. How's that? I deserve it. With your threads in your cars. That's what I want. More money.
What do you want from me?
Want from you? I don't want anything from you, Theodore.
The corporation will honor your severance agreement, and you have till the end of this week to clean out your office. If you need more time than that, let me know. What the hell? Have you lost your mind?
No, that's market share in action. That's cyclical happenings. It's bad. It'll dry up.
As if this community wasn't already a tax hell for small businesses. The unions think that forcing a business to offer more benefits will ensure that more employees get them.
Let me explain how this works. When a business has an added expense, which is what this is, they'll lay off employees to reduce expenses. So thanks to the union's Marxist philosophy, not only does the employee still not have any of these benefits, but he doesn't even have a job. Am I the only one getting this? Next call. What's on your mind? Caller number 4.
Have you ever heard of redirection, Richard? When someone has gone through a sort of traumatic event, they redirect their feelings about it towards something else, another person, or a group of people.
Well, that is a fascinating bit of barroom psychology. I fail to see what it has to do with the topic we're discussing.
But it is the topic, Richard. It has been the topic before your divorce.
My personal life is never a topic for this program. Next call. Caller number 2.
Yeah, I agree with that last caller. You ain't nothing but a hate-filled racist jerk who don't want no one else to get what you got.
And now we've heard from the brain trust that the left uses to march its message of nonsense up the main streets and down the alleys of this great country. So let's hear from our hardworking sponsors before we get too lost in the minutia. Is there any way you could have set me up any worse?
Set you up worse? What the hell does that even mean? You're not even following my direction.
And what direction is that? Here's another dumbass caller for you to use.
What? These are your callers. They're your callers, Richard. These are the people that call in. What would you like me to do? Maybe I could take... Oh, I got it. I'll take a day off. I'll sit and look at the yellow pages maybe and have people call in. Right? I'll just call them randomly. Hey, can you call Richard, please? He's on air right now.
Hey, could you do that?
Come on.
Oh, like, could you call somebody back once they've called in?
Like, what do they call it? Caller ID?
No, I just want to know, I would just like to know, maybe who the caller would be and maybe where they live, things like that.
Why?
I think somebody is I think somebody's following me.
What? Come on.
Hey, the other night, I woke up and there was a car parked in the alley right across from my house.
Right.
I looked over there and I could see somebody in the shadows. They were just sitting there. I could see they were there. They were smoking.
Richard, it's a guy that got into a fight with his wife. He's going outside for a cigarette instead of smacking her one.
I'd seen that car there before. And then today, right, I showed up at the station. So I looked outside. Now, I hadn't paid much attention, but today I did look, and there was that car parked in the parking lot.
Richard, how do you know that's the same car? This is a big neighborhood. I'm sure there's more than one person with the same car, huh?
This isn't another overzealous fan wanting to meet me, some starstruck listener or something. I would just want to know who it is.
You know, is it possible that because you're exhausted, maybe your mind...
Don't give me that crap, Amy. Now, if you're not going to help me, just forget everything I said.
What caller? What caller is it?
While my esteemed colleague, who was heard on these airways before me, may disagree, it seems like a classic divide and conquer tactics from the right. The rich and the powerful always blame the poor and the powerless for the problems of those in the middle. Hand out corporate welfare like it's candy corn and then blame the immigrants for the economy. Now let's hear what you have to say. Welcome to the Fresh Place.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that, Richard O'Keefe. We're just one bullet away from cleaning up the air pollution that dude creates, if you know what I mean.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't disagree with you more. I don't like the way that Richard sees the world, but I would never condone violence in any form. Next caller.
Hello, Jeremy. I've been listening to your show since the first week on the air. Listen, did you know that those tanks at the old tannery are still half full of mercury? What's going to happen when they rust through or if they get a hole in them? Who's supposed to clean them up at that old place?
I'm very glad you called about that. I just happened to be talking to my alderman the other day about the international corp that bought that place, and...
Hey, Richard. I was just going over some of the stuff off the AP, and I think I actually have... What? What's wrong?
I just heard from Silverman. He told me that they gave that spot to some kid from Philadelphia. Said I lacked the showmanship they were looking for, that they'd been after. I guess if they want hip-hop instead of good old hardcore American conservatism.
I'm sorry, Richard. I know you really wanted that. Maybe this kid'll bomb, and in a week they'll be back here begging for you to jump back in.
No. I don't play second fiddle to anyone. And I'm certainly not going to take any of their charity at this point.
Right. Well, how about these stories?
I wonder who else at this station he talked to.
What do you mean? Why would you say that? He didn't talk to anybody at the station.
Somebody here is trying to ruin my life.
Who, Richard, like your stalker?
And I intend to find out who.
Are you thinking it's your stalker? Is
Don't
that who you're
patronize me.
I'm not...
I know you don't believe a word I'm saying, never did. But you'll find out. I intend to show you. You will find out.
What a dump. Where's the bongo drums? What's he got here? Hippie headquarters. Reuse, reduce, recycle. I'm gonna find what I need.
O'Keefe show. It's got my schedules. Look at that punk. Let's find what I need and show Warhowski. Show them all. These guys need a lesson on who they're hiring around here. Oh, I see. Yeah. He's got himself a little old bubbler. You know what they call these things? Bubble, toil, and trouble. Brand new. Yeah, wait till his father figure Warhowski finds out just exactly what his baby boy's got smuggled in his desk drawers. I think we're going to have a little surprise in our hands, and so
She was so pissed, you know what I mean?
Well, hi.
Richard?
In the flesh.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm trying to figure how my files wound up in your file collection here, and stuff like that.
I have to call you back.
Yeah, call her back.
Something came up.
Because tell her something came up and you have to call her back.
Wait a minute. You're in my office going through my stuff. Richard, that is a huge invasion of my privacy.
Oh, invasion of privacy. You know, I had a guy once use that excuse on me. And it turned out he was guilty as hell all along. And I mean, some of that stuff you lay on those soccer moms. You know, the ones who drive around with the SUVs and all that. Well, that's kind of like, to me, a magician's redirection. You make a little motion, and you look elsewhere. But see, that stuff doesn't hold any truck with old Richard O'Keefe. There's nothing there. And that's what you are all about. There's nothing there.
Richard, I'd share anything in here if it would help your show.
Well, it's generous of you, I'm sure.
Richard, you broke into my office and you're going through my personal belongings. Unacceptable.
Your office. Your office, you mean the office the station owns, the station that I support, with my revenue stream on the Richard O'Keefe Show, and all the people I help employ indirectly. That the office and the station you're referring to?
Richard, that's why I came to this station, is to work with you.
Well, I'm honored.
Well, that doesn't change the fact that what you're doing here is wrong. It's ethically wrong and it's illegal.
Oh, thanks for the lecture on what's wrong and what's illegal.
I'm gonna have to kick you out.
Oh, well, listen, okay, but when your buddy Warhowski finds out about this, you know, the guy you've been hiding behind his skirt tails all along, you know, maybe what I'll do is show him your little toy, your, what do you call this, a bubble? Well, you might be interested. And why don't you act like a man instead of always having somebody else fight your battles? Recycle boy.
Get out. Bubbler?
Richard.
Once again, it's the
I've called a cab.
They get elected, and it's the same old.
I'll call you when I get settled.
Tax and spend. You have the Speaker of the House.
I might have been able to forgive you someday,
Pontificating one thing, and it's just a bunch of.
but I don't think you ever forgive yourself.
Stuff that just keeps going on, and it never changes. Washington is supposed to be the land of the people, and serve the people. It's just a bunch of. And denial is not the river in Egypt.
Hey, Richard. Great show. You know, I gotta say, your popularity is like half the topic of my show. If I'm ever running low on material, there's always somebody waiting to bash you.
Yeah, so I heard. Except that some of your people are doing a little more lately than just talking about me, aren't they, Jeremy?
Come on, man. They don't mean anything by it. You know how it is. People overact to get on the air.
Yeah, I wonder how many of your listeners are overacting, Jeremy.
Are you suggesting that I'm instigating these people? Come on, man. You had people that hated you long before I got this gig.
Maybe so, but none of those people ever got to the point of where they're following me home.
You know what? That's enough. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but I never told anybody to follow you anywhere.
Speaking of telling, what did you tell Silverman on the phone? Silverman, what kind of a line of bull did you feed Silverman, Jeremy?
Who? You know what? I don't even care who you're talking about. There's nothing between us that can't be solved by just not talking to each other.
Oh, you're going to find out that I'm a little harder to push out here than maybe you'd like, or that you'd anticipated. See, I've been on the air syndicated all the way from Beantown to Miami, and you, at that same time, were burning your draft card and just to pick up girls.
Draft cards? Really? You need help. You have got to do something about Richard. He just threatened me in the hallway. He thinks I send people to follow him home.
Whoa, wait, what's this all about, Jeremy?
About Richard. Look, he's got some screwed up idea that I'm trying to take over his spot. He just threatened me in the hallway.
Well, to be honest with you, your show has the pull. It's what we're looking for. I was thinking about giving you Richard's spot.
What? Are you crazy? He'll think this was my plan all along. No, not now. First, I think you better deal with Norman Bates the later years.
Look, don't worry about Richard. I'll handle him. He's all bark and no bite. What you need to do is worry about you and your show and what's best. Then, think about it for a couple days, get back to me. I'll take care of it.
Fine.
Where is he?
I don't know. I'm calling him right now. I don't know if something happened.
Well, the show starts in 5 minutes. We have to get someone on the air. You're going to go on the air. We're going to have Vince produce until Richard gets here.
Me? I can't. No.
Yes, you're going to go in that studio right there and protect your boss. Hit it.
Hey, Amy. Hey, when you guys did the afternoon slot today, did you have any trouble with that new traffic guy, huh?
Hey, Jeremy, I can't get in touch with Richard, and I'm really getting worried.
Really? What's wrong with Richard this time?
Well, Jeremy, I'm actually kind of afraid he's not returning any of my phone calls, and I have to go on the air for him. Do you think that maybe you could drive down to his place and make sure he's okay for me?
You want me to go to his house? Amy, I'm the last person he wants to see at this point.
Jeremy, you're the only person I have to ask. Can you please just go do this for me?
Crap. All right, I'll go.
Thank you.
I'll call the station when I get there.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
I'll go.
Go.
You'll go? Why would you say that? Hello, Richard, it's me, the embodiment of everything you hate. Can we talk a little bit more about economics? You need to learn to say no to someone. Sure, you'll put yourself in the line for Mr. White Conservative Pompous Ass. Better appreciate this, Amy. But I've got no one else, Jeremy.
Turn right now.
Imagine that.
This is Richard O'Keefe.
Do you miss her, Richard? It's a shame Lindsay's gone because of you.
Who is this? Why are you harassing me? What do you want?
Can you hear her, Richard? Can you hear Lindsay screaming, Richard? Or does the alcohol silence her screams?
What do you want? You better watch out. I have a gun. I will use it. I will kill you.
And you'll have the blood of both of us on our hands, won't you, Richard?
Shut up! Shut up!
Who do you think she called for, Richard? Do you think it was you?
Stop.
No more.
She was pinned under the wreckage for 45 minutes before the EMS workers could untwist her bloody limbs.
It was you.
No.
Yeah, it was you all along.
Gosh, no.
The problem with the youth of today is that they're all about themselves, right? They're completely self-centered. They're self-absorbed. They don't appreciate any of the sacrifices that the previous generations have made for them. And until we convince this newest generation that life, it's not a free-for-all, right? This country's going to be handed over to people who don't know what they're doing and who think that they know what's best for us. Tune in tomorrow for another talk with the only rational woman, the first rational woman on the radio. I'm Amy Phillips, and this is A War on Ignorance. Hey, Vince. I caught your show earlier. It was really good.
Yeah, some of these people are wound up way too tight.
Yeah, but that's good programming.
All right, Miss Phillips, whatever you say.
Amy.
Okay, Amy. Amy.
Okay.
All right.
Miss Amy Phillips?
Yes?
I'm Detective Harris with Homicide. I'd like to ask you a few questions regarding the deaths of Mr. Tyler and Mr. O'Keefe.
I already gave my statement to the police.
Yes, I read it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. The caller was agitating Mr. O'Keefe. Do you have any idea who that might have been?
Well, he asked me to track it every time it came in.
And were you able to track it?
You tell me.
Let me explain how this works. When a business has an added expense, which is what this is, they'll lay off employees to reduce expenses. So thanks to the union's Marxist philosophy, not only does the employee still not have any of these benefits, but he doesn't even have a job. Am I the only one getting this? Next call. What's on your mind? Caller number 4.
I couldn't track something that wasn't there. I tried to cover for Richard for as long as I could, but...
I understand. We also have Mr. Warhowski's statement that confirms there never was a caller number 4. Thank you.
So, the biggest lie the liberal media ever sold women was that they had to be separate from the establishment in order to be considered truly successful. A woman who worked her way up the business ladder is considered by the left to be an Aunt Tammy, if you will. Now let's see what our listeners have to say.
Fantastic feature, how that turned out, huh?
Yeah, it was. You know, I haven't seen it for so long. It was kind of neat to see it again.
Yeah, it was great to see again. It's going to be a great premiere.
Hopefully your ghoulies enjoyed it, and it was. And what was cool was that was filmed all in Kenosha. We filmed it at WLAP, and Dave Cole was nice enough over at WGTD FM radio at Gateway. Beautiful facility. He let us film over there as well, and Carl Wurtzler was a lot of help at WLIP, and it's just hard to believe now that just later this month the WLIP's moving down to Gurney Mills. So.
Oh, well, nothing's going to change as far as when you turn on your dial. I mean, everything's going to be the same programming, just a matter of a little longer drive, but with bigger studio. They painted it nice shade of crimson red for me. I appreciate that.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did.
What's interesting is you have now the Spectrum and a lot of access now out at the Southwest Library. You have Kenosha News was bought and sold, and they moved out to Highway 31. I think Howard Brown would be rolling over in his grave to know that
Kenosha News has turned into a pamphlet.
That downtown is no more, and then
they're not going to make it. I don't see how they're going to make it. The times are changing. The newspaper is taking the heart. It's taken a harsh beating. People still have radios, though, in their car. Still, people listen to radio still. So that's real interesting, considering that's probably one of the old, well, not as old as newsprint, but one of the oldest forms of media is radio.
Radio's still kicking, because everybody's, and a lot of podcasts are the biggest.
Podcast. Now, my show, Area 1051, is now a podcast as well. The shows are being archived, and you go to WLIP.com. And click on shows, click on Area 1051, and there you go.
So you can click on any show you want to listen to.
Right. You're already on a podcast.
Wow.
From last week when you came in and helped out. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a 2-hour.
Yeah, 2-hour tour.
2-hour.
Area 1051, paranormal UFO show, and some other subjects. Certainly, I got to look over my shoulder when I walk out of there at night, and there might be a Mothman hanging out.
There could be a Mothman. Now, what was the last Mothman? I know because I'm a fan of your show and I listened to it. O'Hare Airport had a lot of Mothman sightings. What's the latest on that?
Well, Mothman sightings were there was 6 sightings in a 24-hour period. When it got close to Christmas, though, it all died down, except for on January 23rd, someone saw a UFO over O'Hare, and it sucked a humanoid up, like straight up into the ship. That's the latest story out of O'Hare.
So the humanoid. Now I heard some of that the other night. You were talking with a gentleman. So there was a humanoid at O'Hare and was sucked up in a UFO and disappeared.
Yeah, that's the story.
Wow.
As well as we did a recent feature on with our friend Ray, who he saw Bigfoot in Kenosha.
Bigfoot in Kenosha.
22nd Avenue.
Well, that's not a stretch.
Out by the Country Club.
Okay. Huh.
I don't know if. I don't know if Lenny Palmer was scuba diving or skinny dipping over there.
I was going to say there could be some different could be different initials.
Yeah, there could be anything happening.
Who could be up on the north side up there? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be anything. Terrible conditions.
That's cool. It's that would be a good. It's up by the a lot of nature over there.
Well, actually, we had Scott Violette on the show he's in the Oregon area, out west out there. I believe that's where it is. And he's a Bigfoot. He's a cryptozoologist, but he's also an anthropologist. He saw Bigfoot eventually. He knows a lot about it, and he said that whole area, Pikes Creek area, out by Pets out there, and all that kind of connects through the Country Club, the river.
Right.
He said that's perfect terrain for Bigfoot, because Bigfoot likes to walk through the river so that he doesn't leave tracks.
Now, where was that the alleged original Bigfoot footage? Was that like California, like from the 70s?
The 60s or the 70s?
I think it was the 70s where he's walking and he sort of like...
Well, now they've got enhanced digital footage. It looks like it's got breasts. It's a female.
Oh, it's a female.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Bigfoot.
So now that's kind of turned around, once believed as a hoax, but with new enhancement digital technology, it looks a lot more real. Like there's muscle, big muscle under the fur, not like a suit would look.
Where was that? Was that like West Coast footage? Was that California?
So. Yeah, I believe so.
I want to say 77. I could be wrong on that. I think it was 70s, but probably 40 plus years ago. But I remember when when they first they showed it on some show in the 80s. Oh, we have the Bigfoot.
Well,
footage.
a lot of people claim to have a lot. There's a lot of
Right.
stuff on. You can find a lot of stuff. Well, we are planning our own Bigfoot hunt out at Pets in the area. We have some Scott Violette from Oregon is planning on coming down, as well as Ray Parrish, who was with us. He was on the show and he had the Bigfoot experience here. And then, of course, the story of the Kenosha Fishman, as I mentioned.
So was Ralph was in that one?
No. These people saw the Fishman down by Eichelman Park, and he had scales on him and everything. And they went by and they go, "What was that?" And they had to go back. They got a picture. Where I'm still trying to see if they'll find that. And they said they just watched him, and he looked like someone that had a fish fetish or like scales all over him. And they watched him, and he went around the fence at Eichelman Park, and he went into the water and disappeared.
What time of year was this?
Oh, I don't know. A couple of years ago. It was 2 or 3 years ago or something like that.
Did you remember that? It was. What was the follow-up to the Twilight Zone? The gallery.
Night Gallery.
Night Gallery.
The mermaid.
the fisherman, where he goes, "Hey, I have." He gave the guy a deal, and he goes, "I can, get you a mermaid," and that was great.
No, he got the mermaid, and he fell in love with her. And
But
then
he wanted her. He wanted to have legs.
Yes, he wanted
Yes.
her. And then, I won't give that one away.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was I think that'd probably be one of my all-time favorite Night Galleries. That was classic.
That was Night Gallery was a classic.
Yeah,
That was a great show.
Yeah, obviously Twilight Zone, Night Gallery, and it's a shame because he died. He was only, I think, early mid-50s. I think he was a big chain smoker.
Oh yeah, maybe. Rod Serling was an intense guy.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
It was very cool. But yes, Area 1051 AM 1050 WLIP, Monday through Friday, midnight to 4 a.m. So that'd be quite interesting, unless I talk them into doing something at the Gurney Mills during the day where people could see me.
There you go. Now,
that'd be a big promotion, perhaps.
And then we have to show. We're going to have to show that it's a 5-year anniversary for the Kino Drive-In. So I was talking with Ralph.
Maybe in spring we can show that again.
Cue that up or something, yeah. And then it's hard to believe 5 years that the Kino's been dark. And then now you said Dorian Gray has been changed to a new time?
April 25th at 58 below. We're bringing in Master Illusionist Ron Fitzgerald. That ought to be a blast.
So that'll be a Saturday night. So what time does it start? In the late afternoon?
About 6 o'clock, I'm thinking.
What does that go till, like midnight too?
So it goes.
No question mark?
Yeah,
cool.
No question mark there. That's going to be really great.
And now you have artists. You got bands. You were saying earlier. You got the big Oshkosh today.
The Ramones tribute band, Amsdell from Illinois. My band, Roosevelt Dolls. The Johnny Thunders tribute, Ron Fitzgerald, and then we'll have paranormal investigators, tarot card readers, horror hosts, you name it.
Is that tarot card reader from Milwaukee you have on your show on?
Yes.
On the 1050. Very cool. So the person's getting just a lot of entertainment value on a Saturday night for Kenosha. I commend. And this is what year? Have you been putting this on for?
This is the 36th annual Dorian Gray.
36th annual. Well, thank you for doing this documentary. Wow, because I know what it's like to do a premiere, and it's not an easy task. So I appreciate your art. Not only what have you been going on? 17 years here?
Oh, this is my 19th season.
19th.
Yes.
So you're going on 20 here. Radio, band, art, all the shows,
and all the great things that happened in the studio.
What was? Oh yeah, and how many years did you take the old haunted bus inside the Kino Drive-In back in the day?
Oh, I can't even remember.
How many years?
94.
For year after year after year.
Yeah, that was an incredible journey.
Very cool. I mean, it's just a huge loss. I mean, it's kind of saddens me. I mean, now that we're getting older. I mean, Ralph and I were talking about 52nd Street. Kmart just closed. Shopko. Obviously, Walmart moved to Summers, and there was a Save-A-Lot and the Radio Shack, and then back in the old days of Montgomery Wards and Community, they're all gone.
They're gone.
Yeah.
I wish they'd just tear those buildings down now, but They put the U-Hauls in there, I guess, but that isn't exactly a pretty sight either. But
No,
that's something.
at least the city made them, I guess, aesthetically, they made them, made it build
At least something's in there, What are you going to do? The downtown's coming along. A lot of things going on there.
Yeah. You got the, you have 6th Avenue's done, and then some more.
We just need a fresh music festival down there that, shines a spotlight on the real bands of Kenosha, not this tribute island stuff.
That would be cool to have something like that. And then you have, let's see, the Roosevelt Theater's been, been 10 years now that's been gone?
Yeah, you're right about that. I think it was 2009.
So
what an ugly affair that was. And, that almost had the buyer that would have restored it. The guy wanted it. They had too much against it. They already had it in their mind that they wanted to get rid of the building. And it would have still been there if this one person in mind that I know, he was the last one actually, and they probably just thought this is another guy's going to get it and let it sit. Not the case at all. That place would be there. It's really a shame that it got torn down. And then they had to tear it down in October, and then whatever chintzy demolition equipment they had broke.
Really?
Yeah, there was a steel girder that ran across where the balcony was.
That was a solid building.
There was a steel girder. I mean, like the kind you used to see on the old Bugs Bunny when they'd be walking across them and whatnot. That thing was probably at least 50 to 60 feet wide and 10 foot.
So they couldn't get it down.
No, they had a little trouble. But then the problem was, then the theater sat there for a few weeks, just half torn down.
I remember that. It was very sad.
There's a lot of pictures. I'm still angry about that.
But I remember all the fun times. I mean, we didn't even know each other. I'm sure we were probably in the audience at the same time. But like back in the I remember fall of '79, they had the midnight showings of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
And then they would. I remember being up in the balcony and. There was the smell in the air, and people were kind of inebriated because they were going to the bar beforehand, and then you had...
There was some inebriation.
And you had, before it was like legal in Illinois, and then you had what was Three Stooges shorts. It was just a lot of fun. It was I remember going there as a kid, seeing the pirate movies and all that stuff. Yeah, it was very cool.
Oh, the Godzilla films there. That was always a great time.
Cinema was torn down and Market Square is gone. I guess Paul McCartney was right in this ever-changing world that we live in.
Yeah, right. And Tinseltown, but now there ain't even no movies worth seeing. I mean, you saw The Joker. I haven't seen it yet.
Joker's good. I enjoyed that. That was probably one of the better movies. I'm glad he won. He had kind of a eclectic profile. He's kind of an eclectic guy anyhow.
Yeah.
He had quite a profound
he's different,
speech.
but just good to see somebody besides Tom Hanks win an Oscar. Yeah.
Tom's had enough.
The Mr. Rogers Neighborhood I'm like, it just blows it.
Yeah, his eyebrows were a little thick. They reminded me of when Faye Dunaway did Mommy Dearest. They were a little thick on the eyebrows.
I like those still pictures of him at the Oscars when that guy was up there ripping all the actors to shreds. How about that? What's that guy's name?
Oh, not the Oscars, but the British guy from the Golden Globes. Yeah, that was funny. That got a lot of YouTube airtime.
Well, in this political climate we're in, just make a movie and shut up.
Yeah, what's his name? I saw him in about 10 years ago. He was on on Showtime or HBO. He's from England and witty guy. I can't remember.
You
his name.
think? Can't
remember his name. What's his name?
It's like the best thing I've seen on television in forever. Yeah,
it was great stuff.
Yeah, I don't really follow much of that stuff with the Oscars.
No.
It was just once everybody started sharing it on Facebook. So that was the big thing before
Golden Globes.
Crazy ass Nancy Pelosi ripped up the presidential speech.
Yeah, that was pretty.
She could have just held herself together for a couple of more minutes and not look like a total loon.
She is.
That was a real bad move on her part.
She is a loon. She's just a crazy old woman.
It's a terrible condition.
It's maybe it's time for some of these people. I mean, what are you going to be 80 years old? It's time to retire, folks. I mean, it seems like just about everybody that's running for president, you got the prerequisite to be over 75 years old. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's how Bernie, he looks like he won't live long enough to be president.
Are you feeling the burn, Doctor?
Only after a night of Taco Bell and cheap beer.
Guess you gotta go light on that breakfast salsa that they give you.
Oh boy,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a mess. It's scarier than what we show on the movies here.
It is a mess. Yeah, we could just show Washington D.C. or Madison. That would be that'd be all the horror you need. But so we'll see. But well, hey, thanks again for having me back in the castle. It's always,
yeah, well, it's great to have you. I'm glad you came in.
Dust it off.
Dust off the castle here.
Good to be back.
This will be a major premiere. It's going to be promoted on all media sites.
Very
of
cool.
course, radio, television, Facebook, YouTube. This is going to be the unprecedented world television premiere.
I'm very grateful because we put a lot of time and effort into it, and it was a lot of fun. I think the end result turned out good. You know,
It did.
I was pretty happy and proud of it.
All right, Ghoulies, just remember, Dorian Gray Art Show is now April 25th at 58 Below in downtown Kenosha. And don't forget to try Sal's Pizza.
Delicious.
It is.
I was coming home from Racine, dropping a friend of mine off. I was crossing over the little viaduct that goes over Pikes Creek, and as I was about to enter into the bridge area, I saw something grab the railing and lifted itself up over the railing, and my eyes caught his eyes, and I'd smelled something that just was a hideous smell. It smelled like a rotten body compared with a skunk all mixed together, the smell, and it was just a hideous smell. But the look, his eyes caught mine, and it was something that I did not want to introduce myself to. And I was already going about 35, 40 miles an hour, so I was by him in a hurry. But that is something that once you've seen it, you'll never forget it, and it'll always make a big impression on your life from there on out. Well, not necessarily, but I have dreamed about him a couple of times, but I lay that to, always wanting to study about it and research it, and I know about as much about it as any of these experts and scientific people do in the field. So, I know a lot about it because I've been studying about it ever since I was in my 20s, early 20s. I've been thinking about it and studying about it and reading about it. Yes, it was about 8 foot tall. And the reason I know that is because I'm about 5.5 foot tall, and it was a good 2.5 feet over me going by him. And it was all hairy. It had darkish black to brown hair all over him except for right in his face area. And his hands were about this long, and they hung, the one that wasn't on the railing hung down around his knees. And it was huge. And the feet, that's where it got its name Bigfoot, but the feet of this animal was huge. And it crossed 22nd. After I looked at it in the rearview mirror, it had already crossed 22nd in about 2 steps. So it was taking 5-6 foot strides, very easy. And it was snarling at me. It was just looking at me like, if I could get you, it's going to be the end of you. And so that's what I said. I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to come any closer to it than what I was, which was about 6 foot from it when I passed it on 22nd. Yes, me and a few friends, we had gone to Bray Road. I read the book that Linda Godfrey had written called The Beast of Bray Road, and a few friends and myself wanted to go to Bray Road, and we were going to look around there. And the Bray Road is about 2 miles long, give or take a little bit. But as we had already bypassed about, I guess, going up and down, maybe about a good hour, a police officer pulled us over and said, you're making the people nervous around here. Could you tell me what you are? And about the time he said what you are, he looked and saw the book, The Beast of Bray Road, on the dash. He said, never mind. I know what you're here for. He said, you're here at the right time. And he told us that there was a particular field about a mile up the road that he was always being seen in. So he let us go, and we were going up and down again. And as we were coming back down Bray Road again, I looked off to my left, and there was some kind of a creature standing by one of the farm implements that they use to get wheat and stuff. And it was standing there, and it was huge. 2 legs, just like the one on 22nd. It was standing on 2 legs, and it was all hairy. It was all, just big. Even at a distance of about 200 yards when I saw him, that animal was huge. So I could only imagine how big he was up close to him. He was huge. Yeah, whenever I was working in law enforcement, we've got a cemetery in Savannah, Georgia, that we called Bonaventure Cemetery. That's the cemetery where they say if you want to rise again, you get buried in that place. Well, we were looking around out there earlier in the week because there was some trespassers out there, and the caretaker of the property had the police called to come out there and look at a footprint that he had found. There was more than one, but this one particular footprint, and the footprint was about 14 to 16 inches long. It was about 7 to 8 inches wide. It was huge. And we came out there and we looked around, and I mentioned to the guy, now what led you to really come out here and look around and see this footprint? He said, I was making my rounds, but he said, I'm scared. He said, I'm thinking about giving up the job. He said, because while I was standing there, I heard something grunt and give a very guttural growl. And I didn't know where it was coming from, but all of a sudden I turned around and it was coming up behind me. So I ran as fast as I could, is what he told us. And we noticed that some of the graves had been messed with. They had been similar to what you'd think a grave digger would be doing to a grave. And it was all messed up around there. And he said whenever he had gotten back to his house where he was living at the time, being the caretaker, he said he heard the thing run off into the woods and disappear. And about a day or two later, he had given the job up. And I looked at my friend, my partner, and I said, he just saw Bigfoot. He just saw one of the biggest that anybody's ever seen, because with footprints 14, 15, 16 inches long and only 7 to 8 inches wide, that was a huge print. And I wanted to add, these things, creatures, have 6 fingers and 6 toes. They are freaks. They are freaks of nature. And I could go into a lot of things about that, but that's the first time, but the last time that I can tell that I've ever seen them. Well, I'll have to go into the Bible part, but in Genesis chapter 3, the Lord told Satan, I will put enmity between your seed and the woman's seed. Well, how else does Satan have seed? He had seed when the fallen angels came down, was kicked down out of heaven. They went to a place called Mount Hermon, and they decided to make a pact with one another. They were going to have women that they were going to have mate with, and they did it, and all of a sudden the results, I guess is the best way to put it, of that was giants. giants in the land. And these giants were cannibalistic. They put people in slavery. They made them feed them out of the crops of food that they had. But when they gave out of the food, then they started eating the people. And they also mated with these animals. Well, these animals, if you ever heard of a giant called Gigantopithecus, it is a giant that stood about 12 to 15 feet tall. And it was huge. A regular jawbone of a gorilla is about maybe this long. Its jaw was about twice as long. It was just downright ridiculous how big this thing was. And it was bred down to what they say is the Bigfoot now. But I believe what the Bigfoot really is, it is the results of these giants that had come along and they had mated with the animals. They had done this, they had done that, along with the angels mating. And it caused these freaks of nature. And they had 6 fingers, 6 toes. They had double rows of teeth. And it's just, I can't hardly even put into words these things, how hideous they are. If you've never seen them, you can only imagine how they really look. I have. It was supposed to be where they said that there was a creation, or the Lord had created things before the actual Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. And that the devil came down, he rebelled in heaven, he came down and he destroyed everything that God had. And God had to recreate again. Whenever you read it in Genesis 1, chapter 1, this was a second creation, because we look at sometimes, people will look at it and they'll just read over it, where it says that God told Adam and Eve to replenish the earth. Now, to replenish means to do something that was once already done. Now, what does that mean? Was there an earth before there was this earth that we know about now? Was there a moon before everything? Because Satan completely and totally destroyed all of God's creation. He wreaked havoc on everything that God had done. And it's to the point then that God said, I am tired of this. I am going to do something about it. So he put limitations on the devil as to what he could and could not do. That's one of the theories of what I've heard, what I've studied about, and what the Bible talks about, as a matter of fact.
will never die with rock and roll and death.